Welcome to Branching Out, Growing Together, the podcast that brings you inspiring stories from people ready to take bold steps, grow new opportunities, and transform their land or careers into something extraordinary. Hosted by Melanie Jones, each episode features farmers, entrepreneurs, and visionaries sharing their journeys of discovery and growth. Whether you're dreaming of starting your own farm or looking for new ways to cultivate success, you're in the right place. It's time to branch out and grow together.
Today on Branching Out, Growing Together, I'm talking with Caleb Canter, president and founder of AeroAg, and a double-degree mechanical engineer with both a BS and MS from the University of Kentucky. Caleb was born and raised in Hodgenville, Kentucky, grew up in the middle of agriculture, and now uses cutting-edge drone technology to support local growers across the region. He has been working with drones since 2013 and has watched them evolve from kids' toys into serious industrial-grade tools that can transform how we manage fields, orchards, and hard-to-reach acres. When he's not leading AeroAg, Caleb serves as the youth pastor at Parkway Baptist Church and as an assistant wrestling coach at LaRue County High School, pouring into the next generation both on and off the mat. He's also a dad who loves to travel with his family, backpack, and sneak in some fly fishing when he can. Caleb brings together engineering, faith, and a genuine heart for farmers, and I'm excited to explore how his work with drones can help modernize chestnut production and specialty crops across the country.
Caleb, thank you so much for taking time to join the Branching Out, Growing Together podcast. First off,
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'd like the audience to know that we met at the Kentucky Fruit and Vegetable Conference, and there were a lot of people there, but your drone was by far the coolest thing there.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna talk about drone technology for farming, and I think meeting at an event like that just encourages all of us to get out and about and meet the people in our environment and our neighborhood and all that. So thank you for setting all that stuff up and introducing it. Okay, so the very first question I want to talk about is this idea of a toy versus a tool. I mean, we have a little drone and it's fun for us to play with it, but we're going into a different world. So the question here is that, well, you've been flying these since 2013, right?
Yeah, not spray drones particularly, but drones in general. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I guess you have watched them really advance from a toy to
Yeah.
an industrial machine. So just tell us, like, let's say that one of our listeners is a 50 or 60-year-old man, woman, whatever, and they're thinking about, well, I think drones are just like we're going to get our grandkids or our kids to play with. What's going on with them?
Yeah, so it's come so far. I mean, I remember back in the day as a kid on Christmas getting a little styrofoam air hogs plane and throwing it up in the air and flying it around until I hit a tree and then it was gone. And I mean they were cheap and they were just disposable because the control systems were very rudimentary. Things were still progressing. And I've kind of seen that whole process. So as I got into college, I was working with a lab at University of Kentucky doing designing and building drones. We also use some commercial drones too, and just over that time seeing the stability and the control systems change and then the payload abilities and things to be able to carry more weight and instrumentation and systems that were actually useful. That all kind of happened fairly quickly, and really the main driver in that was the battery technology, right? So really
Okay.
the main driver was going with the from the old like lead acid type batteries to like a nickel battery to now the lithium ion battery, which is kind of industry standard. And that was really the main driver of what made drones be more useful and more beneficial or capable. Is that lighter, more energy dense battery. And in all reality, it's the electric car industry that has really pioneered that and made that available for everything else, right? And
Yeah,
so it
that
really wasn't until the last couple of years that you had a drone capable of lifting as much weight at a reasonable cost with an electric power system.
Yes, that's fantastic. In fact, this morning I was reading an article about electric cars and Waymo, and I recently retired, and I had a client that was one of the leaders in driverless cars.
Yeah.
And I think, things like that. Also, I wanted to mention that I was at a construction conference and I was just blown away at the number of robots that are taking over projects. So I was thinking, it's part of its trust too, like especially flying something. Uh,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
not a big deal when your $20 foam plane flies into a tree, but when your $40,000 spray drone flies into a tree, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. So how is the tech now compared to the hobbies? Like it's software also, right?
Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, they're completely different classes because typically, like the hobbyist aircraft you were looking at, were controlled completely manually. It required skill from the pilot, and that was kind of the point, right? Like it was to be fun, to be enjoyable for you to have that skill. Where now it's all about efficiency and being effective in your operation. And in reality, the equipment that we're using, the drones that we're using for spraying and seeding purposes, are entirely autonomous. Like there are very few times that I even have to control and fly the drone by hand. Like it's almost all automated where I'm drawing a field boundary and then telling the drone where I want it to fly and then just click and go and letting it take off and get to that area and start operating over that area.
Wow. Okay. So I've got so many questions here. I'm gonna skip around a little bit, but
Okay.
we have our Chestnut Farm EBB farms here in Western Kentucky, and so my husband Brad had a question. One of them was like, do you fly them at a certain level and the terrain goes up and down, or is there mapping technology that you're using when you say, hey, this is our, say it's our 50 acres here? How does that part work?
Yeah, so with their orchards or with your tree crop, it's going to be a little different than like a row crop like corn. A
Yep.
lot of times you guys are on steeper terrain, but with the new drones we're flying, it's really not an issue. We've flown some incredibly steep terrain. We did a trial on kudzu out in eastern Kentucky a couple months ago, and they were straight up mountains with trees up in them, and we're going up the sides of the trees and over, and it was unbelievable to see what the drone could do on its own.
Yeah.
However, there are some options using like a smaller drone, like a normal photography drone, where you can go map and take pictures, and you can see some really cool stuff like plant health. Like you can do NDVI data. You could see if you had a drier area versus a wetter area, or things like that that you might want to manage for other resources too. But you can import that data into a software that can stitch together a 3D map. So then you can load that into the drone to fly it. It just kind of depends on what drone and what system you're using. The new ones that we have no problem at all. If you just lay out a 2D area following any of that terrain up and over trees, it has no problem at all doing that. And basically, the way that it works for us is we would draw that 2D area around your grove of trees, and then we would set a height that we want to stay above the surface, which may be the tree canopy, it may be the ground, depending what time you're spraying, a year maybe. And basically, it would just follow whatever terrain, whatever trees were in front. It would go up and down over those, and that's really thanks to this new company we're working with, EA Vision drones. They were actually designed for tree growers. They were designed for that industry overseas, and the way they're doing that so well is they're utilizing LIDAR technology, which is
Yep.
able to see so much farther out and see much smaller obstacles consistently. And so terrain following and obstacle avoidance on these drones is really, really incredible.
Yeah. It's almost science fiction if you haven't seen them. And we see them flying around here, not for orchards at this point, but other, soybean and whatever they're spraying. And it's just one of those things that's still pretty
Yeah.
new. Um, are flying them as
Yeah.
tricky as people think?
No, yeah, that's what I was saying. I realistically the skill involved, like if you hand me an old hobbyist airplane, I'll crash it in 5 minutes. I cannot fly those. I'm a terrible pilot. I tell everyone that. But when it comes to these drones, like I said, they're so automated most of the time. But then even when you do need to take over, it's all got stabilization where if you let go of the sticks, it's going to stop where it's at. It doesn't
Okay.
just fall, right?
Yeah.
There's no like management to keep it in the air. Like if you get yourself in trouble, you just let go, take a second to think, and then get it out of the situation it doesn't need to be in, right? Um, like I said, I've built other types of drones. I built a little racing drone one time, and I can't keep it in the air. I spend more time working on them than I do flying.
Okay, that's good. Um, so this is specialized knowledge at some point, and just like driverless cars, there'll be more and more education coming. But is there, for our listeners that aren't, say, in the Kentucky or Ohio area, do you service and support growers everywhere, or is there an organization that we can tap
Yeah,
into?
we do. We're a dealer for a larger network of drones. We have for the most part, been pretty focused on the Kentucky area, but we are growing rapidly and are actively adding dealers all the way across the country. I'm actually flying out tomorrow to Portland, Oregon to meet one of our new dealers. And so
Awesome.
we're growing as
Okay.
rapidly as we can. We're adding dealers all over the place. If we don't have a dealer where someone is, we are very good at remote support. We've done that all over the place and can do that well.
Yeah.
But we're actively looking for dealers in those areas also. And so as soon as we see a larger demand in an area, then we would be looking to add a dealer in that location for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put all of your contact information in the
Yeah.
show notes and everything. Okay, so then when we talked to you at the show, you talked about purchasing, or I don't know that you said renting, but also having the service provided. What are the options for farmers?
Yeah, so for realistically, your renting is not a great option because of all the liability that goes
Yeah.
into operating the drones, and they are extremely expensive, and there are risks associated, and then the legality piece of it makes it really difficult. Really, you have two options: is to purchase your own unit or to contract somebody like us to come spray. And so we do both. We do
Okay.
sales of the drones as well as a contracting service. Last year alone, we sprayed, or yeah, 2025, we sprayed 21,000 acres with these
Oh,
spray
wow.
drones across Kentucky. And now we stay fairly local for that. We typically don't travel very far, especially not in our midsummer like primary spraying season.
Yeah.
But there are spray drone operators all over the country now, and if we're not close enough to you, somebody is. And
Okay.
generally, we know people close enough. So if we can't get to you, but you don't want to, you're not ready to purchase a drone, we can usually connect you with someone that can come do it for you, right?
Okay.
So we're
Yeah.
happy to do that. But so spraying as a service is an option, but then also purchasing a drone, I think, is a great option that a lot of people tend to think maybe doesn't work for them, and then in reality really what it is a lot of people consider the drone for one purpose, right? For corn growers, they think about it for their fungicide application, right? But the drone is so much more universally like be able to be used than that, right? It can do so many more things. It can do herbicide spraying, you can do insecticide spraying, you can do fungicides, you can do seed spreading or fertilizer spreading or really whatever you want to do. Heck, even for you chestnut growers, you could drop baskets down if you got really hard to reach plots. You could drop baskets down and fly out baskets of chestnuts. The guy in Oregon we're going to see, they fly Christmas trees out with these drones. They hook up Christmas trees and fly them out of their fields out to where they want to drop them. And it's just crazy. The number
Yeah.
of things you can do with this um, is pretty awesome. I know you guys with corn that even use it for pollinating. They'll just fill the drone
Wow.
up and fly it over just to force pollination and things like that. Like it's a really universal tool that can be extremely helpful for even more than just your agriculture. I use it on my own farm for land management. I've got a river bottom field that's inaccessible, and being able to go down there and clean that up and sow in more desirable like native species from the seed spreader, all just with the drone. I never even have to get over there with a tractor or a side by side or
Yeah.
anything. And it's just a really
Yeah.
universal tool for what it
Okay.
is.
No, it is phenomenal. It's just like robot vacuums. I have three
Yeah.
now because I can't live without them. I think
Yeah.
we might get there.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I didn't mention, but that you've got a BS and an MS in mechanical engineering. So you're a pretty smart cookie. I guess we kind of covered that when you're meeting with a new customer for the first time on their land, you're using technology tools to set up how you're going to go about accomplishing whatever it is, seeding or spraying. So, do you bring like obviously the engineering and the logistical part, but also help with the chemicals or seed? Like how in depth do you get?
So it really just depends on the customer for us and our spraying service. Most of our work we do in our spraying service is done through like co-ops because we
Okay.
we don't provide chemical sales. It's not something we've done. We do work direct with farmers or with growers occasionally, and we can do that perfectly fine. It's not a problem. But I don't pretend that I'm an expert in chemicals, right? I don't pretend that I'm an expert in crop issues or crop disease, right? I
Mm-hmm.
rely on agronomists that I've built really good relationships with to provide my customers with that level of information. Now I've learned a lot. I absolutely have
Yeah.
learned a lot in the past couple of years of doing it. But I don't pretend to be an expert, right? I like to let the people that are experts voice their opinion on what should be sprayed and when should it be sprayed and what's actually going on there. And we just provide the expertise on utilizing the drone equipment to get that chemical on there as well as it can be put down, right?
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
And is there anything tricky, say, corn versus chestnut trees as far as the application or knowing how to do that?
I wouldn't say tricky. I mean, it's definitely you're gonna have a little bit different approach. When we fly corn, it's low and it's as fast as we can go, and we're trying to cover thousands of acres, and it's
Yeah.
just as fast as you can do everything efficiently. With the chestnuts, I think it's gonna be really different because you're talking about a much smaller area typically. And then I think as far as like how you're trying to cover and what that plant just looks like physically, right?
Yep.
Like I think with chestnut trees, you're going to want to be flying slower. You're going to be flying higher volumes, probably, and probably smaller droplet sizes.
Yes.
So you can be more fogging that tree as opposed to just dispersing the chemical on it like we do with the corn. And I think in reality, swath width or flight speed is not going to be nearly as much of a factor when it comes to flying the chestnut trees as opposed to like a large row crop field would be. And so it's just a different approach. I think the drone still works great for both cases. Like I said, we fly a lot of corn and soybeans. That's our primary market. But those specialty applications, I think, is where it really makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe for a lot of the growers, it's smaller
Hmm.
pieces of land. But I was thinking the other day, there are co-ops that have in Michigan 40 or 50 members. That could be something for it. So the
Yeah,
other part of this, many listeners know, the chestnut industry is really, really growing. So although there are many orchards, or let's say some orchards that are big that have large, large
yeah,
trees, most of the orchards are still pre-commercial, smaller. And so they would need to kind of group up to get services, I would think, because
yeah.
it might be. But either way, as those trees start to grow and really mature, I think it's going to be a market. Chestnuts is going to be a fantastic market for drone technology and spraying. So it'll be interested to kind of see how that comes along. Um, I was wondering what your day-to-day life looks like as far as work goes.
My day to day is all over the place. I never know what I'm doing when I wake up in the morning. I'm so our business is fairly split, like pretty 50-50. I would say we're growing much more quickly in the sales side than we are on the service side, although we have some really large customers now in the service side that we are really prioritizing on. And so um realistically, I'm more involved with our sales team than our service team. I have some really awesome people on my team that run that service side a little more autonomously, and so I'm less involved there. But typically, it's us either working on equipment here in the shop that people have brought in that needs repairs or maintenance done, or communicating with customers, existing customers or future customers about developing technology. Or for me, a lot of time, what I'm doing now for me personally is working on locating new dealers, right, and getting that
Yeah.
stood
Oh,
up too. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Where
And then
does
I have
where
too many extracurriculars to count, I would say.
Yeah, we could talk about that. I caught you the other day. You were going into wrestling, which I thought maybe you were a
Yeah.
wrestler, but you're not specifically wrestling.
No, I'm not
What
wrestling anymore. No. No.
what tell us about? I mean, it's always interesting to learn about people's lives. What all kind of things do you do?
Yeah, so I grew up wrestling and playing football, and I coached football for a few years. I actually don't do that anymore. Now I'm just coaching wrestling. I just had two daughters. I've got a 2.5 year old and an almost 1 year old, so that keeps me busy enough. And then I'm a youth pastor at a local church here, pretty large church, and so that keeps me busy there too. And so between coaching wrestling and youth pastor and my girls and my business, I'm pretty swamped. I just built a house, so I'm a general contractor on the side, I guess, as well. But
Yeah. Woo. Well, and I think we talked about maybe you should become a chestnut farmer too.
yeah, I
So
should. I know I got a couple acres here that I could put some trees out in. I think would be pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's great. I mean, really, you're a change agent in an industry, and that's a fun place to be. Um, okay, let's see here. So so AeroAg, right? That's the name of the company, and
Yes.
you were the first drone company in Kentucky to get licensed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and so how difficult is that process for somebody?
Yeah, so it's definitely not an easy process. It's not like a one click on a form to get signed up. It's definitely a pretty thorough process. I will say it has gotten substantially easier since we did it.
Okay.
Like I said, we were the first company in the state of Kentucky to do it. I was working with the Louisville FISDO with the FAA, and basically they had to come down and do multiple evaluations. I had to do flight tests with them, and it was just a really extensive process. It took me 6 months to get through
Yeah.
it.
How long ago was that? Like
That
say,
was in 2022. I applied
oh,
in early
okay.
January 2022 and got it on June 30th was when my approval came through. And I sprayed my first job on July 1st. And so it was in the nick of time that that came back in. And it took a lot of coaxing for me to get it back in that amount of time. But it has changed substantially. It's much easier now. They've done it many times. It actually doesn't even go through the Louisville office anymore. It all goes to the federal branch, which is a good and bad thing. A good thing because they've done a bunch of them, a bad thing because it's hard to get in touch with them. And
Yep.
so we actually sell with most drones that we sell an FAA consultant package to help people get legal because we think that's extremely important.
Yep.
It is definitely an important thing if you're going to be flying these drones, especially for a commercial type operation. You absolutely want to be legal operating them, and there are a lot of people out there with drones that are not legal,
Yep.
and it is a dangerous thing for the industry as a whole, basically.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
But
Um,
the new process, like I said, it's gotten much easier. We tell people now it really depends on what time of year and just kind of what the backlog is. But 12 to 14 weeks is pretty standard. There's quite a bit you have to do. Our FAA package will help you through that. But it does still take some involvement and some effort on the part of the purchaser to get that
yeah.
all completed.
Well, I mean that makes sense, and I was thinking too, maybe as the drones continue to advance, maybe it makes it even easier, but
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure. Okay, so we talked about like the terrain, the slopes, and everything. That's no problem. What about fueling? How does that work?
So like recharging, do you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
recharging. Yep.
Yeah, so the drones are fully electric. There's
Mm-hmm.
no gasoline motor on the drones at all. Initially, when I got into drones, if you wanted any type of endurance, you had to have gasoline, and that was a problem because small gas motors just they don't tend to be extremely reliable, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
with this battery improvement is when things were able to become electric and still keep the right endurance or the right amount of payload. And so the J150, the EA Vision J150, which is our flagship model right now that we're representing, has a 45,000 milliamp hour battery. So it is a
Jeez.
huge battery. It weighs 45 pounds. And it's ran by a charger. I just posted a video on our Facebook actually kind of doing a deep dive on the charger, but it's a 12,500 watt charger, which is a massive
Wow.
amount of power. It's hard to find a generator large enough to run this. The way that we actually do it is we run two pretty large generators. And that gives us some redundancy that we want when we're out in the field because things go wrong. You have to plan on things to go wrong. Basically, you have to plan on things to break and things to fail if you want to be successful. And
Yep.
so we have some redundancy by doing that, and we're able to keep up really fast. And so the 12,500 watt charger is able to charge the batteries most of the time in about 7-8 minutes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that's actually
Okay.
about how fast it takes to empty your tank most of the time, too.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
obviously that fluctuates based on how many gallons per acre, or how fast you're flying, and things like that. But for the most part, the charger is able to keep up and charge the battery at the same time it drains.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
you're just
That makes
running
sense.
generators all day, you want a good set of headphones for sure because it gets pretty loud out there. But you're running generators all day and constantly you have one battery flying, one battery charging, and one battery cooling constantly throughout the entire day.
Okay. Do you all have a preference or is there a trend in the industry versus owning versus service? Like do you guys have a favorite or
As far as on the drone,
yeah, on providing the service to the farmer versus selling them?
yeah. Realistically, we're fine with both. The custom
Okay.
application market that we're in the service side of that, custom application is kind of the trade name. It's an extremely successful business. I mean, we are happy to do that. I will say, I think overall the industry is trending towards more end user ownership because I know it doesn't sound like it when we talk about a drone and I tell you it's 45,000 drone. It doesn't sound cheap, but in terms of farm equipment and
Yeah.
sprayers, that's cheap, right? That's really cheap. And so I think as a whole, the industry is trending towards more growers owning their own equipment because they are so universal and they're so can be used for so many different purposes. As people are starting to realize they are very efficient tools and not just toys anymore. I think more and more people are opting to purchase their own equipment to do that themselves for sure.
Yeah. maybe even like in the chestnut world where people might have 50 or 100 acres or even 200, that's pretty small. And so
Yeah.
there's the ability, I think, to share amongst growers too,
Mhm.
if we were to
That
buy
or
one.
even offer services to some of your local farmers too. I know you're probably
True.
pretty busy in the summer, but you can pay off the ROI on a spray drone is tremendously short. It is
Hmm.
extremely short. Like in general, we tell people you should be able to triple the value of the drone in 1 year
Wow.
if you're spraying commercially, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like our normal spray rates, we're charging 15, $16 an acre to spray. And so it does not take many acres to spray to pay off that drone purchase.
Okay. And is there just say ballpark nationally and stuff, are there minimum size? Like say you came out, we have 100 acres. Uh, it's probably not just $18 an acre. Like just to
Well,
give
that's the thing
growers a
is that the
sense.
100 acres would be plenty, but you're probably going to be asking me to do 10 gallons an acre, right? Or 5 gallons an acre, or whatever, where normally we're doing 2 gallons an acre, right? And so our per acre cost for something like chestnut trees, where we're doing a lot higher volume, is going to be quite a bit different.
Okay.
Now, it's not going to be absurdly more expensive, but it is going to be quite a bit different than what it would be for like a 2 gallon per acre row crop, for sure.
Okay. What we'll probably do is have you come out and
Yeah,
let's put together an example so we can share
yeah,
with the group.
definitely.
Um, okay, I see or was reading about your ministry and faith, and I
Yeah.
think it's always pretty cool to bring that up in a conversation because it's important. So does your work in your church and with the youth and everything, does that slide over into your business of your ethics and stuff? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. More than you would think. I know there's tons of times, especially in spray season, where we have people that have something breaking or going wrong, and just that type of like service mentality, right? Like that customer first mentality of like being able to drop whatever it is I'm doing and make them a priority, has gotten us a long ways and has bought us a lot of return business too. I know
yeah,
there were multiple times this year that I was meeting people in my shop at 11 p.m. and fixing the drone and sending them home at 2 a.m. so they can go spray the next morning, right? And just making like pretty much we do whatever it takes to get our customers back in the air as fast as we can. And as far as training and support, just the way that we try to treat people, it's all based on our biblical values. And I would say that's our entire team. Like I'm
yeah.
I'm really fortunate and blessed to have a team that is extremely extremely invested in their faith and take that very seriously. And so I think it's awesome when you get to work with people like that. But then even more so, the youth group specifically, I joke that I have a never ending labor force because we always send out ground crew people with our pilots, and so I have a youth group and a wrestling team full of kids that are on a list asking me to go work with us because we pay them pretty well and it's a pretty easy job, so they love it. And I get to use them all the time and give them let them make some money with us too. So
That is wonderful and setting an example of how to run a business, which we need a lot more of, and I love that too. Um, so if let's talk about like mistakes maybe that you've made that you can
yeah.
share with our listeners that they would avoid.
Mhm.
First, they should call you, but after that, like what are some things that you might have done that you do differently looking back?
Yeah. When I read that, I read that question. I was thinking about it. I really think the best example is crashing, right? And I know that it's like the hot taboo topic when you're talking about drones, but like I crashed. I started with a T-30, and my first crash was on my first job.
Oh
Right. And
God.
so I learned so quickly what not to do. Right. And I think I tell everyone that buys drones, crashing is a part of it. Like, do not buy a drone thinking it's never going to crash. It's going to happen. Now, it doesn't happen a lot. Right.
Yeah.
Especially once you get better and you know what you're doing. It's not like it's happening every day or even every week or at all. I know we can go a whole season and not have a crash now that we know what we're doing a little better. But the reason I say this is it's not the end of the world, right? Like when I crashed, I just quit my engineering job. I was full time. I was like, oh man, like I need to go get my job back. Like I don't know what's going on. Like I was so upset. And I ended up costing me $1,000 to fix the drone. Right.
Yeah.
And the worst part was that I missed 2 days of spraying. I had another 500 acres I was going to do there and I didn't get to do it. And that was more money than it cost to fix the drone. So the downtime's the worst part, right? But
Yeah.
I tell everyone like when you crash, you're gonna think it's the end of the world. You're gonna think the drone's done. It's not. We can fix almost anything. We can get it usually in a day. They're really easy to work on. They're relatively cheap to repair in comparison to other equipment. that you might have. So I think crashing is a big one, but then there's so much other stuff too. Like just, and that's one thing we take pride in is like we're not just a sales company. Like I'm not going to just throw a specs book at you and say, "Hey, here's the drone. Send me a check." Right? Like I go with people through every step. Like we talk about their setup for their equipment, even if it's not stuff we're going to sell them. If they want to make their own, like we'll help them figure out what they want and what they need. And then as far as once they get the drone, my phone is always available. I give everyone my cell phone number. They can text me and call me, and I'm happy to talk through their issues with them and help them keep things working well, right? And so um, I tell everyone's biggest question is what drone should I get? And
Yeah.
I tell everyone that is the does not matter, right? In reality, as long as you're buying one of the major players in the market, they're all pretty good. I do think what we offer is probably the best, but what matters more is the service. Like buy it from the right person because that's the most
Yep.
important thing. If you buy from the wrong person, you're gonna be up a creek without a paddle pretty soon, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And my nephew owns a golf cart business in
Hmm.
South Carolina, and so he has so many people that bring in carts from overseas
Yeah,
that no one can work on. There are no parts,
yeah,
and so buying that right, like you said, buying what you would recommend, but more important is to have someone in your back pocket that when it does
yeah,
crash, you can get it fixed.
yeah.
So that I think that's huge value that you all bring. Um, okay, so just lastly, is there any other thing that you would like to add, like a value about your business or just something people should reach out to or anything I didn't kind of ask you?
I guess the only thing I mentioned a little bit just about the ROI and understanding, like I think a lot of people when they try to justify purchasing a drone, they look at the one application, right? Like which for you all is going to probably be like an insecticide application, right? And I think it's easy to look at that and think that's the only going to be your only return on investment, but I think you really need to open your horizons and think about the other things you could be doing with it also, right? Because there's a lot you can be doing to control like non-desirable weeds and things or like I said transporting things. It's got an entire lift kit that goes with it, right? Or spreading
Oh, wow.
seed and even putting in hay or wheat fields or whatever you wanted
Cover
in
crop.
underneath the trees. I don't know if you guys do a cover crop or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's definitely a trend of that to help with the soil, and
yeah.
you were mentioning the kudzu or whatever it was on the side of
Mhm.
the hill where you're able to go and kind of look at the treetops and just,
Yeah,
I can see the different applications as
yeah.
the trees get bigger. So yeah,
Yeah. And then
that's a good
the only
point.
other thing I would mention is just as our business, we actually are kind of expanding beyond just spray drones. I mean, spray drones are definitely our main seller and our main product, but we also are offering like autonomous lawnmowers, auto steer
Okay.
kits. We have thermal imaging drones. We have other small like um, enterprise level drones if you wanted to do like the plant health mapping or stuff like that, right? We have all those options out there and are doing a lot more as we continue to expand.
hmm And if there was a room full of people that are kind of in farming and not necessarily tapped into to tech and all, how far on the horizon are we? Like, are we at the beginning of using drone technology, or a lot of people actually know about
I
it?
Yeah, I think we're farther into it than you think. I think
Okay,
drones are pretty much at least in row crop industry, drones are pretty much a widely accepted thing now. Like there is very little hesitancy about whether or not drones work. Like that,
yeah,
that's pretty much a proven fact. There are millions and millions of acres being sprayed by spray drones now. We're pretty well into the application. It's not an R&D thing anymore. Like it is a very successfully proven method of spraying and spreading in I mean, America even and I
yeah.
would say internationally I think they're even a little bit ahead of us because of
Okay, makes sense.
our legality and with the FAA kind of makes us a slower adopter of stuff like this.
hmm
But all of that trickles down usually 1 year later to us, and so it's I think we are very pretty far down that path actually, and like I said, I think we're not very far from seeing just about every grower utilizing their own drone, especially
Yeah,
as we see the larger operators have used units because that's another thing we do is we sell used drones too, so more affordable things that may be 1 year, 2 years old that person wants to upgrade to the newer version because they want the larger capacity or the faster speeds. And so then for someone that wants a more affordable option, we're able to usually offer something to them there. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Is it just like one-on-one relationship, or is there a marketplace or anything like that?
Typically for us, it's a one-on-one thing. Like if we have a
Okay.
customer that calls us asking for a drone, and as we get in conversation, their budget's a little lower than what a new drone would be. Then we're able to match them up with one of our older customers or someone that had called us with a used drone and kind of help them sell that off so that they can afford to upgrade,
Yep.
essentially. And there's
Okay.
also, I should mention this too. We have another drone that actually just came out. I've talked about the J150 a lot because that's our big drone, but the J70 is the counterpart to the J150, which is a 12-gallon tank. I don't have one yet, so I haven't got to measure the capacity, but a 12-gallon tank. But it is very similar to the J150, and as a much lower price point, you're looking for a minimum quote on that. You're looking at about 27,000, so
Okay.
substantially cheaper on that regard, even just that. So
Yeah. And then we'll create a blog that goes with this podcast. So if you send me some images, we can include it there
yeah.
and just get the message out because I know some chestnut growers are utilizing drone technology, but there's also a lot that I know that aren't.
Yeah, we have sold one drone to a chestnut grower up over in eastern Kentucky, actually.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
good. Well, let's get you some more business.
yeah,
Uh,
we love that.
well, Caleb, thank you again then, and we'll get this out to our audience as soon as we can, and you have a safe flight out to Oregon, I guess. Hopefully the weather's
Yeah,
okay for
yeah. I hope
travel.
I think it's gonna be okay. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got ice on the ground still right now, but
us too. Well, too
yeah,
much of it.
yeah,
But anyway, all right. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and thanks again.
yeah. Awesome. Thank you. It was great talking
Okay.
to you. Thank you for having me.
Say hello to a new era of efficiency. The EA Vision J150 isn't just another spray drone. It's redefining what's possible in the field. With a 20-gallon payload, 30-mile-per-hour operating speed, full terrain following and obstacle avoidance, and a swath width of up to 45 feet, this machine covers more ground, faster and smarter than ever before. Big fields, small fields, steep slopes, uneven terrain. The J150 makes spraying all of them effortless. For years, drones were called the future of spraying. With the EA Vision J150, the future has arrived.